Hey, this is Brandon.
And this is Drew.
Welcome to Crushin' It. We're going to talk to people you know about stories you may not. Hometown hustle, big time stories, weekly from Owensboro.
Let's get to Crushin' It.
Welcome back to the Crushin' It podcast. Thanks for joining us. I'm Brandon. We got Drew.
Hello.
And who we got with us today?
We've got Ben Skiadas with us today, who is a pretty big deal in Owensboro. Owns probably the finest restaurant establishment in town, as well as other things. Tell us a little bit about what you've got. I know you've got the lot, you've got Lure, you've got
Lure Smoke Shack,
okay,
and then the family business, Famous Bistro also.
Yep.
So basically, restaurant work is in my blood, and I grew up doing that since I was like 9.
Wow.
And that's when Dad started Famous Deli then. And then there was a rebrand where we became Famous Bistro. Basically, we went from breakfast and lunch service to adding a dinner service. And so there was a rebrand there. And then we opened up Nico's that sadly is now gone due to fire. But we brought my aunt and uncle, Nicolo and Lola, over from Greece to run that one. And then they bought us out. And fast forward years later, I opened Lure with a lot of help from my folks. And we wound up slowly expanding now to the Smoke Shack, which is a barbecue catering operation, food truck, and concept, trying to get on to a more consistent basis there. But one aid in trying to become more consistent was the lot, food truck, park, and events. So giving us a home base to try to exist.
Awesome.
Those are my two favorite restaurants in the whole city.
Well,
Bistro and Lure.
A heck of a compliment.
Well, I mean that. Yeah. Anytime it's like date night with the wife, it's Bistro or Lure. We do our staff Christmas dinner or lunch at the Lure. We did our staff kind of strategizing meeting at the Lure. So, yeah, I love that. I love both of them.
Well, thank you.
I bring not a lot, but people to town, right, for various events, whether it's work or some fundraising stuff I've done over the last year or whatever. Always put them up at the Hampton and tell them they have to go downstairs to eat. And it's so funny because they're like, man, I've never seen a restaurant like this in a Hampton.
There's a joke that, I have the finest restaurant in the world in a Hampton Inn.
That's awesome.
I would say I would agree with that. Yeah, for sure.
I think you'd be hard pressed to find many restaurants in the world in a Hampton Inn.
True.
But yeah.
Yeah, I brought a buddy from Miami recently. You happened to be there that night. And he was just like, the whole hour and a half we were there, he was just like, I can't believe it. I'm in a Hampton Inn.
Well, that's a testament to...
and he wasn't knocking Hampton, by the way.
No, but there's reality of what the expectations are. And, Malcolm Bryant, when he built this Hampton, when we came into the business, and they invited us in, he said, look, this is not a Hampton Inn. This is... hopefully going to far exceed people's expectations. And I think it's kind of the best under-promise and over-deliver ever.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that night, I remember we had the Kentucky Strip and Grits.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he left with like 4 bottles of whiskey.
Yeah, that can happen.
It was just a great night. But, well, cool, man. Thank you for coming on. So the genesis of the pod is pretty much, there's these naysayers who would like to say that nobody in Owensboro is doing anything cool. So we're going to spend the next 45 minutes to an hour proving them wrong, if that's cool with you.
I would love to prove people wrong on that. I don't know that I'm the best example for it, but I think this is a fantastic idea that you've had.
It's ordinary folks doing extraordinary things.
Fair enough.
Owensboro, man.
Yeah. Big things can come from Owensboro. I'm going to say it every time.
There's been, I think what I've noticed from your series, the Facebook series, that kind of spurred this, is you focused on the people that are really still in Owensboro doing things. And then there's all these people who have left Owensboro, but they're still Owensboroans. And it's like, man, we really are a hotbed for entertainment and sport and, music and all of these different, categories can be ticked where people have gone from here to do incredible things. So it's cool to just focus on what's happening here in our
Yeah, I'd say 90% of the casting characters have been still live here, still see him at Kroger, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
There have been a couple that I was like, hey, let's talk about, what you're doing now, where are they now type stories. But for the most part, yeah, I mean, we're here doing the thing. That's the idea.
Yeah.
Because in high school, I don't know if it was like this for you guys, but it was like, man, where can I go? How can I get out of Owensboro?
Gotta get away.
Yeah. And now, like, a lot of us moved back, right? It's a great place.
How quick can I get back?
Yeah.
That's kind of how
great place to raise a family. It's safe. It's affordable. We have cool stuff to do, like Lure and the Bistro. And I was going to tag onto that little thing earlier. So the best creme brulee in town is at the Bistro.
Yeah, it's so good. It is. Yeah. There's a handful of things that we cannot take away.
Yeah.
If we did, people would ride us out of town on a pole.
Well, I told
that's one.
Charity and I's anniversary was last week, and so we
Congratulations.
Thank you. So we did dinner and dessert, and that also is a throwback to we had our reception at Lure with homeboy over here catering. The food is fantastic, but I told her, I was like, what I really want, and I don't know if this is doable. If you still, I mean, maybe when you did the tent, it was doable, and it still is at the lot, but I want a Bistro creme brulee with a Lure smoked old fashioned.
Ooh.
Yeah.
At the same time.
It's a great pairing. It is. Now
you've had it.
I've had it. We've started to do creme brulee at Lure now too.
Oh, okay, game over.
And it's because we had so many people just like, oh my God, you have to have creme brulee here. What are you doing? And that was always one of the things I wanted to be careful of.
Yeah.
Lure is supposed to be completely separate from Famous Bistro, and we made a lot of firm decisions so that we had separation of church and state, so to speak. And that's one of the things that we do overlap on is that recipe. That might be the only thing that we overlap on. Yeah, all the other recipes, even like our ranch dressings, are different.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can I put you on the spot real quick with a menu item that I really miss?
Okay.
Dude, the chicken and waffle.
Yeah. So, yes. Brunch is one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
And restaurateurs and restaurant people
I have another buddy who owns
hate brunch.
Yeah, he said I lose money every Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, it's just it's a whole lot of work for a very special menu. And we started that at Bistro. I think we were the first people in town doing modern brunch where it's come, have mimosas, sit, share munchies, and enjoy. Obviously, people have been doing breakfast here for a very long time. I don't want to take credit for early service in any kind of way. But I remember when I was running the Bistro, I was like, man, there's nowhere to do brunch. And so we started it, and then thank goodness Miller House opened up, and they started doing it. And then there's been several others come and go and have at brunch, and now Owensboro actually has a brunch scene. It's awesome that happens. As much as I sell booze, day drinking is the best, and so brunch is a fantastic excuse to do that. But
when your
chicken and
location
waffles,
is very
I get it.
Conducive to it, we're just right there on the river.
Yeah, it is.
And just like take like a 30,000 foot view. Like Owensboro offers really, really good creme brulee, and has a brunch scene, and has all these whiskeys and bourbons, and I think that would surprise people to know that probably some of the best creme brulee, at least in the state, and the brunch scene here is big in little old Owensboro.
It does strike people by surprise. Being in the Hampton Inn, we get tons of travelers, and I kind of have an insider's view of these things, and I get to hear these comments often. And I wish that people from Owensboro could hear what visitors are saying when they come here and how cool they think Owensboro is, and how they're like, the food is great, the park down at the river is great, it's so safe. They go to the county parks and they're like, you're 5 minutes from a fantastic nature walk. And some of these people that are traveling in,
like real legitimate trails,
yeah, and they're like, this is unheard of for us, and they're like, I can go out to eat every day here because it's affordable. Now their cost of living versus our cost of living are two very different things.
Well, and so for instance, my friend Joe, who you met that night, he's from Pompano Beach, which is pretty much Miami, and so he came to visit in January, which was funny because coming from South Florida, he was like, I haven't worn this coat since we were on Kilimanjaro together. But he was just blown away. You know, I mean, he lives down there. He splits his time. He works in Cincinnati for an airline, and he travels a ton. He was in Thailand the week before he was here. He's like, airports and hotels are what I do, and this is fantastic. And
it really is a common thread within visitors that Owensboro is just stunning of how high the standard is here. I mean, we take it for granted, but the amount of work that goes into keeping our town clean is overwhelming. And I have a front row seat to a lot of, these people that are doing
what does Saturday morning look like out front of your shop?
Clean.
After Friday after 5.
Spotless.
Really?
Wow. I mean, it's crazy how fast. Shout out to the city of Owensboro. Yeah. You guys don't get enough credit. I mean, being in a government position, I would never wish that on anyone. Yeah. It's a thankless job, but seriously, like you
don't aspire to be mayor?
No. So there's a reality about like barbecue and barrels, formerly Barbecue Fest. Here's this crazy, tens of thousands of people. And all food vendors, and food's messy.
Yeah.
And they're cooking food, which is messy. Yep. We've got pits on the road. And no joke, during the festival, it's sticky and there's stuff and there's, whatever. So I live downtown above Bistro. And I have acquired a dog in my life. I'm engaged now.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And
shout out to the missus.
Yes, Elise. Hi. Basically, she has a Doberman. And so
you have a Doberman.
I have a Doberman now. And so Sunday after Barbecue Fest, Mother's Day morning, I'm getting ready to go into work, and you do what you do in the morning with the dog. You take them out, and it's spotless at like 6 a.m.
Wow.
Because they come through at night and clean up the streets. And it's that kind of dedication to the quick turnover. Friday after 5, same way. The setup and teardown is remarkable. And it's really cool to see, these kind of invisible pieces parts that, like, Friday after 5, Barbecue Fest is happening. Barbecue and Barrels, is happening. And that's the Saturday before Mother's Day. And then I have this 250 people coming through for Mother's Day brunch.
I was about to say, that's a pretty busy day for you, huh?
It's a very busy day. And it is spotless for people to come in, park, and enjoy. And they are never like, why is it so messy out here? Why is it so dirty? Oh, well, there's no excuses needed.
Yeah.
It's really incredible to see that kind of stuff going on.
So I know you've got your hand in a lot, right? You've got some projects. You have some fun. Yeah. How do you distill it down into, I think one of the questions I asked you when I was doing the write-up was, give me your story in one sentence.
To be continued.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, we're all works in progress, right?
Yeah.
And my mother always told me, you're the author of your life. so you might as well write a good story. And I think I've taken that to heart sometimes a little too much, where I've created adventures that didn't need to happen. But I've learned from those things. And as a creative mind, I'm most fulfilled when I have something to work on, or I'm creating something new. Whether it's like, I've got a wine and cheese event coming up where it all spurred from, I saw a little thing online with a really cool spread of wine and cheese pairings. I immediately posted, hey, what do you guys think about this? It's National Wine and Cheese Day coming up. People went nuts. Then I call Lorna at the Botanical Gardens, say, hey, why don't we partner on this? Then we call the Symphony, and Gwen at the Symphony is like, yeah, let's get the jazz trio there. And so now, in a day, we went from, I saw a post to, hey, let's run with this thing.
That's so awesome.
And, within 3 days, we had tickets up on a website ready to roll on this fast turnaround 50-person wine and cheese night. And I got a buddy that I called that's in a wine house out of Louisville, and he's coming down with a bunch of wines that you haven't had, and they're all affordable, and it's going to be a cool thing.
When is this?
July 25th is National Wine and Cheese Day. And so I'm doing that event.
Are you
it's
sold
a
out
Friday
yet?
night. We may still have a couple tickets. I know we were selling pretty quickly, so yay. That means we're going to do it. But also, it's a higher ticket, spend-wise. It's great value. But we've got that event at the Botanical Gardens. It's also a Friday after 5. And so I'm going to do three wine and cheese pairings at Lure that night.
Oh, cool.
So you can go for a less expensive buy-in and still have fun, and it'll be like a red pairing, a white pairing, and a bubbles pairing. And if you want to do it big, you get all three, But that's an important thing, I think, in our area, too, is, thank you for all of your commentary about how great the restaurants are. But it's tough being, like, the most expensive place in town. And so I have to watch, ticket prices and things like that. Because people want to do things, but if they can't afford it, why are we doing it?
Right.
So we've got 2 different price points there. Similarly, that's one of the reasons I wanted the Smoke Shack, because seafood is what it is. High-end steaks and oysters, they are what they are.
Right.
You're gonna pay for that.
Bringing seafood, like, we don't live on the Gulf.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
well,
getting it here fresh is...
Did you know that Louisville, it's the UPS hub for the nation, right? Because of that, Louisville is actually one of the largest seafood ports in the world. They have the world's largest live lobster tank.
Really?
Yeah. In Louisville.
Okay.
All right. So it's one of these things where
Wow.
Air freight and logistics has changed the game in food. We live in a world of convenience. It's astounding that I literally get a text at 5 a.m. All right, and it's a group of fishermen using a broker. They say, "Here's what we caught," and I say, "Send me X pounds of this, X pounds of that." They overnight it. All right. And then it's here within 36 hours of being caught.
Wow.
So when people say, well, you're landlocked, how do you have a seafood place? I'm like, well, the world's different. And because
it doesn't
we're
ride
close,
a barge all the way up the Mississippi.
No, right?
That's what I thought. I thought it came from New Orleans and it went all the way up through.
Yeah, no. But so air freight, like, because Louisville's proximity to us, we request UPS shipping instead of FedEx, because they'll use those two typically. And, it's actually funny. Some of the people, like, I'll buy stuff from Hawaii, and they're like, why are you requesting UPS? And I explain, oh, wow. They're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I just happen to know that.
Yeah.
But it saves a day in transit, Memphis. And you wouldn't think it's that much, but Memphis is the UPS or the FedEx.
Yeah.
And so really, we're not that far off, but it changes an overnight stop.
Well, and on something that has a shelf life,
it's a very short shelf life.
Yeah.
The magic here is, I'm getting stuff faster than some of the places in Chicago or Vegas or, these places where it's like the best cuisine in the world and it is. We're actually getting it faster than them.
It's fresh, more fresh?
Ish. It depends.
Yeah.
I would say they are still getting things within 36 hours or 48. Because these logistics exist for a reason. It's so the best kitchens in the world can get that stuff, but you got to pay.
Yeah.
Well, it's this is not meant to pump your head up. Yes, it is online, whatever.
I don't need much more.
I lived in Houston for a while, right? So there's good seafood in Houston.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We would go to Galveston a lot. The best redfish I've ever had was swimming when I walked into the restaurant in Galveston. Like, it was fresh, right? The second best I ever had was downtown on the Ohio River.
Thank you.
So,
that's a heck of a compliment.
Yeah.
I don't want to downplay that. But, what's cool is, and I want to circle back to a thought that you all were stating about, visitors coming and, I think my thing about this town is an outsider's perspective is so vastly different than a lot of people that live here. And I think it's because it's when you travel somewhere, it's easier to have this open eye, open mentality, where when you live somewhere, it's easy to get stuck in your patterns and not experience the things that are going on that are out of your patterns. And then also, you've experienced all the good, bad, and ugly throughout your life that you've had here. And so that affects your view on things. And sometimes you can't blame those things on the town. You have to take some accountability in, well, am I actually actively participating in this town?
Right.
There's my least favorite statement, and it goes right along with this whole podcast, is there's nothing to do in Owensboro. And BS. There's tons to do. It's just, are you actively engaging in those things?
right.
And, fun doesn't just come knock on your door. You actually have
You got to seek it out a little bit.
Find it.
So, pivoting back to, let's get back into the restaurant scene, right? Like I know you grew up in it. It's family business, but how did you know you were really onto something with like these are different style restaurants than we've had historically?
Well, I think it comes down to, number one, Dad took a chance. I saw somebody take a chance, and he was serving, ethnic food in the 90s in Owensboro, Kentucky.
You had the Reuben at the bistro.
It's the best.
Oh my gosh,
It's the
really
best.
I will put our Reuben and our cheesesteak up against anybody in the area.
I'm on a hunt to find the best Reuben, and I had one at Cat's Deli in New York, and Bistro's is better.
Boom.
I mean,
mic drop. I gotta go. That's it. I'm done. I'm out.
Dude, I love me some Reubens, and it's the best in town for sure.
Well,
anyway, go ahead.
So, Dad pushed the envelope. And, we were talking about like brunch. And fortunately, I grew up in a home where they were like, yeah, you can do whatever just to be good at it. Figure it out. You don't have to be good at it straight out the package. Figure it out. And so, coming from risk taking, I've never been afraid to take risks, and I've fallen short so many times. But one of the goals, opening a seafood and steakhouse in Owensboro, the reason we did that is because I saw a hole in the market. And this is no slight to Red Lobster, but when Red Lobster is the best seafood place in town, there's a hole in the market. And so, we jumped in. And, I in no way was like in love with seafood my whole life. I've loved bluegill, crappie, catfish, fishing with my granddad and, cooking that. But it's not like we have a hardcore seafood culture here. And so I wanted to help change that.
Yeah.
You know, there's nowhere to go get oysters. There's nowhere to go, go get these things. And I was like, there's a market. And knowing that I had the luxury of being in a hotel, it allowed me to help push the envelope.
Yeah.
So, within this, like, what's the driving force? Probably a stupid, fearless approach.
Reckless
abandon to just say, we got this, let's go.
That's awesome.
That is.
Well, I think it's Dave Ramsey that says it. The quickest way to go broke is open a restaurant.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And like, I'm not a big Ramsey guy, but I heard that and I was like, And so my thinking is, like, I think people probably misunderstand. Like, it's not a success on day one.
No.
Right.
Well, and it needs to be. So the stats are like 80% of restaurants fail in the first year or something like that. And I might be, don't quote me on these things, but
a lot.
It's a lot of restaurants fail within the first year.
Yeah.
And then of those that make it a year, the 5-year mark is another, like, got to get to 5 years because the new wears off, And then once you've done that, now you've got an opportunity to secure yourself in the community and create a staple. And so that's the goal in my family is, like, you want to become a staple. And so whenever we hear people like you guys saying, Famous Bistro and Lure are our favorites, that means we're doing our job.
Yeah.
So, margins are tough.
Yeah.
People are tougher. And that's on both your team and customer front. Everybody eats every day. And so everybody is a true aficionado of food. Now, their palates lie where they lie, but it's their dollar that you're asking for. And so there's a reality of a very short leash because, like we were talking about before, Owensboro has a fantastic food scene for a town of 56,000. It's unbelievable how much variety and the quality that we have here. And I'm not just talking about my places. I mean, like, you look at the food truck scene that is blowing up. You look at the ethnic food that is blowing up here. You look at the other small locally owned places. Nico's Bakery. I stopped there for breakfast this morning. Matt's making incredibly good bread and sandwiches. Great coffee. We got, sweets and pastries out the yin yang, as my mother would say. And we've got a lot of variety. And so when you look at all this variety in our community, which is a blessing, it's also a curse for the business owner because
you're in the attention economy, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I've got to get them in the doors.
Yeah.
You've got, and one bad experience, you'll lose a customer that's been loyal for 3 years. So, and I get it. You go have a really bad experience. Well, I don't have to go there. I'll go over here. And it's not seen as, you're not as loyal as you would be to, not that I would know much about this, but a barber, or, those haunts where it's like, this is my liquor store.
Yeah.
This is my barber. This is my shoe guy. This is my favorite boutique in town where I get clothes. We become very routine and kind of set in our ways with those relationships. And with food, you got to have something really special to create that relationship. And so I would say it's the game of attention, like you were saying, and it's also the relationship. And so that's what we have where, Dad's always told me, like, you got to be in the business. You have to be there. You got to be in the community. You got to be in the business. You have to be making these relationships and fostering these.
Well, it's interesting. I have two thoughts. First, let me drop a book recommendation on you. If you haven't read it, anybody who's in just any service business, but restaurants in particular, is a book called Unreasonable Hospitality. And it's about this guy that took a nothing restaurant in New York City and turned it into a Michelin restaurant. And the food was part of it, but the service was the main part. And he even talks about in one chapter how the New York Times critic actually like, because you don't know who the critic is when they come in, right? Like it's like a secret shopper type thing on steroids. But he was like, hey, the guy actually like broke character, and he was like, you blew me away. You know, he's like, that doesn't happen in the New York scene, right? Yeah. Anyway, so the book's great, check it out, but it's all about like how do you make the experience like this person wants to come back, because there specifically, like kind of in your hotel situation, a lot of transient traffic, right? A lot of tourists on Madison Park. And he tells this one story, like, I mean, there are probably $300-$400 a plate, right? But the tourist was like, man, I didn't get a hot dog from a hot dog stand. They sent the hostess out to get a hot dog, plated it up on china, and brought it to him at the table. Like, and that's how they're wowing people. So just check the book out. You'll love it. But the second thought I had was I have a buddy who is in the restaurant business, not locally, and love him, makes fantastic food. I could always tell when he wasn't there when I went to eat. You know, like it was two different restaurants. Yeah. And
sounds familiar.
So I'm just thinking, like, you're right. You got to be in the business. Your dad was right. Yeah. You know, so bring me, because you're not just restaurant, you're not just food, you're entertainment too, right? Like, you know, you got bands, you've got the lot, which has all kinds of cool stuff going on. You have like art nights and stuff, I guess. So, like, bring me around to like what your greater vision is.
I honestly, I was tired of hearing people say things like they should put this here or they should do this in Owensboro, and I wanted to be one of they. I'm going to do this. We don't have a wine and cheese night at the Botanical Gardens. Why not? I'm going to do it. We don't have a restaurant on the river that has supporting paid musicians so that these musicians can have a career in Owensboro, because a career in music doesn't have to be rock and roll touring, which we've got some of those guys from here too.
We do.
You know, but it was honestly from a point of I'm tired of hearing people say what they should do, and I didn't want to be one of those people. I wanted to be one that was actually making things happen. So if I see an opportunity for Owensboro to have something, there's so many things that I think Owensboro could have, and you know, I'll light a candle and see if it burns, and sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And I'll never stop doing that. So the greatest vision I have is keep pushing the envelope and try to provide things that, you know, one of the biggest compliments we get is, you know, I don't feel like I'm in Owensboro. And then I get to say, but you are. And so whenever someone from Owensboro says that, that means we're doing our job. Whenever somebody from out of town comes in and they say, I can't believe this is in Owensboro, I'm doing my job.
Yeah. You also hit on, you're talking about paid musicians. I have some buddies in that space that play on your patio. But even beyond that, I know this is important to you. Your staff have told me that they make more money working in your restaurants than they ever have.
I hope that people are making money.
And not just really like servers on tips. Like your kitchen people have told me.
So what I try to do, and again, there's the margins in restaurants aren't great. In fact, I told my sweet Elise, you know, hey, you know, I'm a really good restaurateur. I'm a really bad businessman because I'm not squeezing every penny out of this that I could. Yeah. And part of the reason is my loyalty to my people. You know, we've got the whole fight for 15 and all that, and now I think it's even more because of inflation and the price of everything in the world. And, you know, I don't have anybody making under 15 in the restaurant out the gate, you know. Some of my servers,
which is if you've worked at other restaurants, not knocking anybody.
There's a reality. The market is what it is, and making $12 an hour, it exists. And you know, I want people to have a good life. And you know, if you're miserable and not making ends meet, and it's there's a difference in being miserable and not making ends meet because you have bad habits.
Right.
And then there's, I'm doing everything I can and I'm not making ends meet, then that's a problem with me. And so I try to make sure that we're getting people hours that they need If they go into OT, it's okay. What a great bonus for them. Because what did they do for me? They sacrificed their time. And then we also, in the restaurants, I'm very proud of this, we offer benefits packages. So we have insurance.
Wow. That's unheard of.
It's absolutely unheard of, especially for small, locally owned restaurants.
Yeah.
So some of the bigger corporate entities, your Dardens and things like that, they have programs like that, and it's typically geared toward management. For me, benefits start out the gate. You're eligible. You can join in after 30 days employment. I'm going to start contributing at 6 months, and then at a year you get a bump, and at 2 years you max out to full benefit status. And if you're averaging 40 hours a week, or if you're on salary, you get 2 weeks paid vacation. And these are things that in the restaurant world, it doesn't exist.
Yeah. Right.
And if you want people, especially in today's world, because there's so much out there, there's a lot of ways to make money today. And if I'm going to ask somebody to come in and do things the hard way, we cook from scratch. We butcher meat. We make salad dressing. There's a reason that most places don't do that stuff. So I'm asking people to do a lot, and I'm asking them to take pride in the job. I've got to also take pride in them. If I'm not taking pride in them, why would they ever care to make ranch dressing the way I want it? That's the lowest recipe that I can say. But how can you trust in somebody if you're not taking care of them too?
And that kind of goes back to, you mentioned earlier, being involved in the community and what that means to you. Like, you are in everything, and I see a lot of it firsthand with some of the work that I do. But why do that? Why give back to the community, or why treat the community as if you're there, or the same way you do your employees? Like, what's the passion behind community involvement?
I grew up that way. My grandparents, my Boomon granddad, they took me around doing Meals on Wheels when I was like 5, and for many years. And we went and worked on Thanksgiving with Miss Birdie at the soup at her church, little bitty church. I forget the church. This is going to bother me. Teeny tiny, over off like Center Street, over by Chautauqua Park.
Okay.
Anyway, there's this little bitty church, Miss Birdie. We would make Thanksgiving dinner, lunch, and then we would go have Thanksgiving. And things like that always impacted me. Seeing firsthand how much things can impact you. Not you, but like impact a person that needs that help, or realizing we're all just people. Like, what was the line? Average people doing extraordinary things.
Oh yeah, ordinary people.
Ordinary people.
Yeah.
We're all ordinary people.
Yeah.
And the plight of life has taken us where it has.
I don't mean to interrupt you. I saw a quote last night. Actually, I was doom scrolling, as you do at night before you fall asleep, and it said, "Before you judge somebody else's journey, remember that we're all just walking each other home." And I was like, "Dang, bro."
Yeah. I mean, that's it. We're all, I don't know. Why help the Patino shelter? Well, I've actually had staff need the resources that the Patino shelter offers. And so that hits home real fast.
Yep.
Why help with Beverly's Hearty Slice? Well, if you go to one Beverly's Hearty Slice event and you see these kids' joy on their faces, and the parents seeing real relief from OMU vouchers, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
As soon as you see the real impact that they're making, I mean, I'm goosebumping up. It's real.
Yeah.
Every year at Christmas with Beverly's Hearty Slice, we do it's Hope for the Homeless, and so one of the hardest things that homeless people go through, families, is that men, women, and children, they get separated. So women and children can go to facilities, but men have to be separated out. And it's a safety issue. And it's a real one. But if you think about Christmas, to not be together at Christmas, that crushed me. You know, here's somebody, they're trying to be a family unit. They're trying to get on their feet. They're trying. That's the key part of this, is we work with these different shelters and we say, who's trying? Who's needing this? And they get rooms in the Hampton Inn for Christmas Eve, Christmas night. We feed them at Lure. They're coming into, in your words, the nicest place in town.
That's awesome. It gave me
We
goosebumps.
cook for them real dinner. We feed them breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Hampton does breakfast. Beverly's Hearty Slice takes care of lunch, and then we're doing the Christmas dinner for them, and that's Christmas Eve and Christmas night. Santa comes.
That's awesome.
They get to write letters to Santa of what they want, and then a tree is in their room.
Wow.
And they get to wake up on Christmas morning with their family, the whole family, not just mom. Not, hey, we'll go see dad later, with everybody. And so, yeah, it's 2 nights, but we've heard from people that they were like, it was such an impactful moment for them that the father was like, I have to get us in a place because I need this every day. And they did. And a year later, we were checking in with them, and they're like, we're still doing great.
That's awesome.
People have gotten married because of these things. They've seen, like, we need to be an actual family, not just dating and struggling through this together. And they've gotten married because they got to spend Christmas together. They proposed at Christmas.
Oh, wow.
So whenever you say, like, why do you do all these things? Because there's real impact. When you help a sports team, I was on a Little League team. We got sponsors. I didn't get it then.
Yeah.
But I do now. That without the sponsorship, they don't get it. Will Evans with his Estes Bulldogs art camp.
Yeah, man.
That's really cool.
I supported it the first year. This year, he was like, hey, we want to do T-shirts. And I was like, I don't need to have my name on a T-shirt. Then he explained the T-shirts were going to be white T-shirts. They were tie-dye.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, cool, I'm in.
Done.
Because now it's not just my name is on this thing. It's these kids are going to get to make their own tie-dye T-shirts.
Yeah.
And who knows what impact that has in their life.
That's really cool.
So I guess it's impact. I have the ability to be helpful, so why wouldn't I be? And if it means that I don't get to put, an extra $2,000 in my pocket a year, well, I'll be okay. The impact is worth it.
The philanthropy. Oh my gosh, I just butchered that word. The philanthropy piece of it is something that I've been thinking about preparing for this conversation with you, because like I know you do more than the things you put your name on a shirt for. Like I know that, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people know that, but the golf thing that you did recently, right? Like it's a lot, and your fingerprints are on a lot, and I appreciate it, and I'm sure a lot of other people do too. So just from Drew and I here, thank you for that.
Yeah, and I'm trying to say this to everyone we have. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of that. You have put your heart and soul into Owensboro to make Owensboro better, and that something from Owensboro is as big as you've gotten. And so I'm proud of you, and I think it's amazing the work that you're doing.
That means a lot, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Last question I have for you is, what do you know now that you wish you knew when you were getting started?
A million things. I would say a big part is to ask for help. Yes, there's this unabashed go for it attitude, and I've been in over my head so many times, and there's a fake it till you make it, but also there are people who have done things that you can ask for help and they will help you.
Well, that's like you mentioned earlier, like you texted Lorna and all this, like in the symphony, like the network here is incredible.
It is. And, again, that's the relationship factor of all this. How fortunate am I that I have a relationship with Lorna, who runs the botanical garden, that I can text her and say, hey, I've got an idea. How fortunate am I that I have a relationship with Gwen at the Symphony, that these are people in our community that are making things happen themselves, and they see the merit in something good, so yeah, let's be a part of it.
I'm going to misattribute this quote, but a couple of years ago I heard, who, not how, right?
Yeah.
So instead of trying to do everything yourself, who do I know?
Yeah.
Right. And so I leaned on that hard last summer when I was doing this St. Jude fundraising stuff, right? Like I blew this guy up, whether he wants to admit it or not. Like he got me most of the way to the finish line. And so the yard party at WBKR was like the make it or break it moment. Like I had to have a good day that day to hit the deadline, all that stuff. He comes up like sicker than a dog. He's like,
I was not having a good day.
Yeah. And he was like, listen, I haven't touched any food, but like I can't help you serve. Like I wish I could, but so he set me up. Like he sent one of his team members out, which I'm sure he had to pay the guy. They had cooked all night long. We had like pulled pork and all. I mean, it was amazing. And 1/3 of my total fundraising came in that day from this guy.
Wow.
So, but it was a who, not how thing, right? Like, who's in my network, right? Who can I call? And like, I think most people struggling to have something take off need to kind of shift that mindset to who, not how, because like the people who are really doing cool things, I've noticed, aren't like forcing it with like brute force, right?
Yeah.
It's just kind of...
There's another part of that too.
Yeah.
And I'm glad, and from your perspective, it was the who, not how. The other side of it for me is like, I could have easily said, no, I don't have the time to help you.
Yeah.
And this is a big piece of advice for people. I've met with two, in the last week, I've met with two people in my industry who are getting started.
Mm-hmm.
And they had questions and they wanted, advice on, hey, like, you're doing all these things. How do I do this? And it's literally saying yes. And when somebody asks you for help, take on that burden, because the word of mouth from Brandon going into the community to talk about me, what's the value there? Is it worth the few $100s in food that I donated for the day?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what that value is, but the relationship that I've developed with you was strengthened by me saying yes to you. And that goes over and over and over again. We, in business, I'm sure you deal with this, where people are saying, hey, we've got an event, can you please come help?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
We would love to have some film on our event. We need great, PR stuff for next year's event. Can you come help us? And it wears me out. It's like, man, I'm happy to help the Little League team, but can I help every Little League team?
Right.
And, I can cut a gift certificate for your silent auction, but how many of these do people want? Like, how many $100 gift certificates to lure sitting in people's closets at this point because they want it for $50 or whatever.
Well, I'll tell you where you can send them.
Yeah. Right. But it's one of those, like, it becomes overwhelming once you do start helping. You reap what you sow. You attract that. And I think that this who part, it comes from being available also and being willing to help. And I get it, like, you can't give away your last $5 if you're, barely there. You sometimes you have to say no. But as long as you can make it make sense. And, for people selling goods, can you cover your costs and help these people out?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a complete donation sometimes. It can be a great discount. I would say finding ways to help the good causes, that's what makes Owensboro unique. And you said it earlier that there's such a network here. Owensboro takes care of Owensboro. I was actually at Maker's Mark And Bill Samuels comes out. I was doing a barrel pick, and we were having lunch there. He came out and he was like, Owensboro. And I was like, yeah. And he started name dropping some people from here. And I was like, hey, no, I know them. And he goes, man, I'll tell you one thing about Owensboro. You all take care of yourselves there. Mm. And there's a good and a bad thing, because like outsiders to Owensboro have a hard time when they come into Owensboro.
Breaking in, yeah.
And it's not intentional. It's not like, ooh, no, outsiders. It's, I've already got my people.
Yeah.
And so getting into the circle when people already have their people, it's hard. But Bill Samuels, you know, the patriarch of Maker's Mark, this multinational company, knows that Owensboro takes care of Owensboro. And if you look at anything happening in this town, when there's a need, people show up. Can every need be met to the fullest? Probably not. But are people showing up to help some? Every single time that's happening. Every single time. So that's the special thing about Owensboro, as far as that people connection part, is that we got each other's backs. And so be a part of that.
Well, Ben, thank you for being a part of that, and for helping the community so much like you do, and for coming on this podcast and sharing a little bit about your story.
Ben Skiadas is crushing it.
Ben Skiadas is crushing it. The lure's crushing it. The bistro's, the lot's crushing it. Everything's crushing it. So congrats on all the success, and you know, go check out, well, I don't know if this will be out before the wine and cheese pairing, but
sounds like it's sold out anyway.
It was great. It was an awesome event, I'm sure.
Well, follow us, Lure Seafood and Grill, Famous Bistro, The Lot Food Truck Park and Events, and Lure Smoke Shack. Keep up with what the Skiadas group is doing. And my personal page, I love to share what's going on in Owensboro, because there's always something to do in Owensboro. You just have to actually look.
Yep.
You know, show up.
Yeah.
Thanks for showing up here.
Yeah, happy to do it.